Hi there, it's Thursday's Take Two with Jerry and Debbie, and the month of October is moving right along. As Debbie said, I believe yesterday, some of her favorite feast days in these last several days. This week, yes, some great feast days indeed. I am Jerry Usher, along with Debbie Georgiani. You are the one who make the show what it is, so we have phone lines that are open right now. Ryan Penny is going to screen your calls at 833-288-EWTN. Those letters translate to 3986.
Is Jeff doing double duty? Because he's running the controls. Is he also monitoring social media? I mean, that's amazing.
That'll be, Jeff will have to tell us that.
He can, yes. Jeff can multitask. That's awesome. Way to go, Jeff. That is great. Okay, couple things, folks. The title of today's show is, well, it's a question. Do you have a spiritual support group? Do you have that prayer support group? We want to hear from you. So here's the number, and then we're going to share a couple things with you. 833-288-EWTN. That's 1-833-288-3986. Okay, light up the phones and tell us about your spiritual support group or your prayer support group or some group that you lean on for spiritual help, okay, and support. But I just want to revisit a couple things, Jerry, if I may. First up, our Inspired by Faith book club that is led by Gigi is online at jerryanddebbie.com. Please join. It just got started a couple days ago. We are working on the Lamb Supper, Scott Hahn. It's amazing. It's not too late to join in. Now, if people have been asking, how long does the book club last? 1 month. We think you can get through the book in 1 month, okay? If we all figure out we can't, Gigi will happily extend it, but we're going to go for 1 month. So join, just jump in, go online, jerryanddebbie.com, hit join now. You can get into the chats. It's free. It's wonderful. Okay, so that's the Inspired by Faith book club, Dr. Scott Hahn's book, The Lamb's Supper. You'll never look at the Mass the same way again. It's going to be very, very impactful. Okay, number 2. And you can get the book. Oh, this is so exciting. You can get the book on EWTNRC.com. So you're supporting EWTN at the same time. Isn't that cool? All right, second thing, Father Donald Calloway is going to be with us October 15th. That's coming up very quickly. We're going to have him for 30 minutes on our free webinars. You can also get that information on jerryanddebbie.com. Okay, basically everything you can get is on jerryanddebbie.com about information about us. Okay, and then the last thing is yesterday was the Feast of the Guardian Angels, and we came onto the show with just full phone lines, and it actually was from Johnette Williams' show, Women of Grace. She had full phone lines. Obviously, she ran out of time, couldn't get to them, so she happily transferred them over to us. It was an amazing 2 back-to-back shows about stories about angels and how they could, help save you in different situations, difficult situations, stuff like that. Okay, but after that, we received just a bunch of emails, and people were saying, those stories were wonderful. It got, very exciting, very hopeful, but it didn't happen to me that way. My angel didn't save me in this situation. My angel didn't help me with this situation. I was, I went through a very tragic, horrific situation, and my angel, where was my angel then? Okay, so because of that, we are going to revisit this and have a whole entire show on what angels are and what they are not. So you can have a better understanding of the teaching of the guardian angels. Okay, so please, folks, hang on there with those emails. Jerry and I are on a pledge drive this week with Sherry Brownrigg and Dave Palmer on the Station of the Cross fall appeal. And so we're not quite on top of all our emails, but we will get to them this weekend. Jerry and I promised. We virtually did a handshake and said, let's, on this weekend, we're going to tackle all the emails. Okay. And one more thing, Jerry, since I'm hogging the mic. It's pledge drive season. Your local listening area, wherever you're listening right now, you may hear on your local station. Please help us. We need the funds to keep going for the next 4 months, 6 months. Please, folks, dig deep and support your local listening area. And then, of course, don't forget EWTN as well. Okay, Jerry, I did all the housekeeping. Now I can relax. Whew.
Great. Well, now we're looking forward to your calls. Again, Kim is on the line already. Some other calls are going to be screened here shortly. 833-288-3986. Do you have a spiritual support group? And what we mean by this is maybe your parish has a prayer chain. A lot of parishes have a prayer line or a prayer chain. You call 5 people, they call 5 people. When there's something going on, Agnes is sick, Johnny is taking a big test, he needs prayers, things like that. So when you've got things that you need prayer for, where do you turn? Do you have a parish prayer chain? Perhaps you know somebody, an individual who's just a real prayer warrior. I knew a lady, Debbie, and she passed away suddenly, unfortunately. She would be hours and hours a day in prayer. When I needed something, I would go to her. And I have a wonderful convent of religious cloistered Port Clare nuns. I'm trying to spit this out. In Fort Wayne, Indiana, my dear friend, Sister Rose Caritas and her community. And so, folks, do you have a priest who prays for you? Maybe a monastery of monks, a religious convent of religious women? How do you get spiritually buoyed, when you need those people around you to lift you up? 833-288-3986.
Okay, Jerry, you said something that just made me think of this. All all of these prayer groups and these great prayer warriors and people that are committed and dedicated to prayer, they're all there available to us. So if you don't have a support group, if you don't have a prayer support group, a prayer support group, why not? Why not? What is holding you back? Okay, we need that, folks. We live in a world that is caving in on us. It's telling us everything we believe as Catholic Christians is wrong, and it's outdated, and what are you still following that for? You guys are like robots. That's not true. We need the support around us to keep going. So I want to know, if you don't have one, Jerry, why not? I mean, do you know? I know a few people actually that don't have a real strong support group. And I feel bad for them, because they how are they getting those reinforcements?
Yeah, well, we have we know that Moses in Exodus 17, when he had his hands raised up, the Israelites were in battle, and whenever his hands were raised up, the Israelites were victorious, and when his hands fell down at his side, they were suffering defeat. And so what happened is Aaron and some others went over and helped to hold up Moses' hands, and that provided the victory for Israel. And I also want to point out that St. Paul writes in 1 Timothy chapter 2, I urge then, first of all, the petitions, prayers, intercessions, and thanksgiving be made for all men, for kings and all those in authority, that we may live peaceful and quiet lives in all godliness and holiness. So the number is 833-288-3986. How are you supported in your spiritual walk?
Wings is the weekly newsletter that's packed with program info, features, and updates of all that's going on at the Global Catholic Network. Just go to ewtn.com/wings. Fill out your name and email address, and you'll start getting your wings every week. When you get yours, send it to all your friends, and they can send it to their friends. And pretty soon, we're covering the whole world with the good news about EWTN. Wings, the weekly newsletter from EWTN, the Global Catholic Network.
The leading Catholic voices are on EWTN Radio.
Part of the success we've had on the world over, I attribute to certainly my relationship with Mother Angelica and her teaching me early on that when you sit with someone, you talk to them, you share with them, and you create an environment where they will tell you things they wouldn't tell anyone else.
The World Over with Raymond Arroyo. Tonight, 8 Eastern on EWTN Radio.
The wisdom of Mother Angelica.
Isn't it awesome that we today do not recognize His presence in the Eucharist? Is it because we really don't go to Him in humbleness of heart and say, Lord, I don't believe, help my unbelief. Lord, I want to see you. I want to recognize you. I cannot live without you. Are we saying that?
EWTN. Live truth. Live Catholic.
It's your show, Take Two, with Jerry and Debbie on EWTN Global Catholic Radio Network. Talking today with your help. You got to share with us, where do you get spiritually supported? I don't know where I'd be without the nuns who pray for me, various priests I ask to say Mass for me, and I've got prayer partners and prayer warriors that I turn to, and I try to be that for other people as well. Do you have that kind of support system around you, and how do you feel that helping you in your life? 833-288-3986. And Debbie, there is a joyous celebration coming up this afternoon, 3 o'clock Eastern Time, right here on most of these EWTN stations.
Tell us.
because it is the massive ordination and installation of Reverend William Johnson. He's going to be the 10th Bishop of Des Moines. The 10th Bishop of Des Moines, Most Reverend William Johnson, his massive ordination and installation, 3 o'clock Eastern Time. Folks, I'm sure it's going to be on television, but also listen to it right here on EWTN Radio.
Okay, so Anna Marie says we should write a book on angels, and actually, Anna Marie, we have a manuscript. So we, now that you said that, maybe we'll pursue that along with the Take Two Real Life series that we're going to get with all the folks that are sending in stories about loved ones who have left the faith. And by the way, we will get to you guys by Friday, tomorrow or Saturday, the latest, to let you know which 12 stories were picked. We're working on the next book, and the next book is going to be comeback stories. Okay, when you have had a setback in life, God was already preparing your comeback. We want to hear your comeback story. So if you don't have to give us your whole story, just tell us you're interested in submitting a story and email us at take2@ewtn.com. And Jerry, one other thing real quickly I want to say, I said if you don't have a support group, why not? I should say, why don't you? Why don't you have one? What's the reason behind that? Okay. Maybe you're hesitant to share some of the things you're dealing with spiritually. Maybe you're not sure how to get one. We're here to talk about it. So ask us, call in 833-288-3986. You don't have to be Catholic to call in. We have a lot of non-Catholics. We have atheists. We have Jewish brothers and sisters. We have LDS that call in because they love what they hear on Take Two. 833-288-3986.
Okay, we're going to hear from you about how you're supported in your spiritual life by family members, friends, religious, priests, prayer groups, 833-288-3986. Kim got in first in Sheboygan, Michigan, so we will go to Kim listening on Baraga Radio. Hi, Kim. Welcome to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well. So glad you called.
I went to Cursillo 5 years ago, and you have like a continuation of it with Fourth Day. And my Fourth Day group helps me a lot with prayer, and we pray for other people. And we also have a huge prayer chain that comes out almost every day. I also have a prayer partner that I meet daily, and I'm spiritual director, so I have a lot of support in prayer.
See, that's wonderful, Kim. I do know that Cursillo, Acts retreats, Christ Renews His Parish, they all, after you go through the retreats, Jerry, you have a support group that is formed through that weekend encounter, and now you have this group that you can journey with, and it's a beautiful thing. And so see the church and its wisdom, and the folks that are running these ministries understand that. See, they understand we need that kind of a support, and then to have a prayer chain that you can immediately go to. Now, we're very lucky here on Take Two. We have the Take Two Family Prayer Warriors, so we have that constant, ongoing prayer chain, and I love that. So, Kim, I think that's awesome. That sounds like a well-rounded prayer support, and I hope you continue with that. And Jerry, what do you think about how out of retreats come these beautifully formed prayers groups?
Well, I'm glad that you reminded me. I guess it had slipped my mind. We all have the Take Two family. We're all praying for one another around the clock because we are around the world. But Kim, I like you. There was really kind of two aspects to what you said. You have a prayer partner, so you have that person who is, it's a spiritual prayer type of support and bond. Cursillo is that, but it's also learning the faith more, because Cursillo means like short course or little course on Christianity. So you go and you listen to presentations, and so you grow in the knowledge of the faith, as well as having that well-rounded spiritual support. Has that been your experience, Kim? Have both of these really helped you out?
Oh, yeah. Right after my Cursillo, my dad died, and they were there for me, and I was just brand new, and one of the team members, who's like 100 miles away, sent me a sympathy card. And just knowing that support was there helped me so much.
Oh, and we're sorry for your loss, Kim. You know, it doesn't matter how old our parents are, how young, what they've gone through. When we lose a parent, it hurts. It hurts. And so our hearts break for you. That's tough. But to have that support group there to send you, that they're thinking of you, sending you sympathy, prayers, it does help. I couldn't agree more. I mean, a lot of people function on prayer support. I did when I was going through cancer in 1994. My husband at the time collected all the cards that came in. See, I'm going to cry. Collected all the cards that came in from religious education teachers and the students. He didn't want to give them to me because he said, you just got to kind of focus on getting well, and he didn't want me getting so emotional. And then afterwards, he handed me this basket of hundreds of cards of people saying the kindest things, and it was love in the purest form. So Kim, it sounds like you've experienced that with your prayer partner and your Curcio support groups. I think it's wonderful. Kim, God bless you. Have a beautiful rest of your day. And thank you for sharing, because others are listening to you, Kim. And now they're going to go maybe sign up for Curcio or Acts or Christ Renews His Parish and say, you know what? I want what Kim has. I want that support group. Thank you, Kim.
Thanks so much, Kim. Appreciate that. Rusty, you're going to be next. Our phone number, 833-288-3986. Where do you turn for prayer when you need it, for spiritual support, and how has that gotten you through things and helped you out? I want to read an email from our good friend, our brother in Christ, Jeffrey, who emailed us today. So good to hear from you, Jeffrey, again. He says, Debbie, having a spiritual support group sounds like a great idea. Question, how does one get such a group?
Yeah.
Having no friends, no family, and a lack of desire to have friends due to many disappointments, there aren't any options. I'm okay by myself. I've had to depend on myself for several years post-divorce. I guess I'll have to go alone. Well, Jeffrey doesn't have to go alone, Debbie.
No, Jeffrey, absolutely not. First of all, you have a prayer group, a support group right here on Take Two. That's number one. So we're here for you. Okay, just by us reading your email and sharing. Okay, and Jeffrey, I can tell you in a matter of seconds, I'm going to get probably a half a dozen texts saying, I'm praying for Jeffrey. We can keep in touch. I mean, that's how this works. So there's online great Catholic groups. There's all sorts of ways to establish a prayer group. But I would also say, Jeffrey, go to your church. And it's Jeffrey, right? Jeffrey? Okay. Go to your church and talk to the pastor or deacon and say, listen, I want a support group. How do I get one? I need a prayer support group. Okay. The church is there to serve you and your spiritual needs. Folks, don't ever think that, there's not this ministry or that ministry. Express the need for it. Go to your pastor and deacon and say, please, I need this. And believe me, if there's enough voices coming at the ones that are leading the parish, they will do something about it. I know that because for many years at my parish, we never had an adult formation program. And a handful of people got together, went to the pastor and said, we need adult formation. The pastor said, okay. That's how quickly it happened. So Jeffrey, make it happen. Go to your parish. And if that parish won't listen to you, go to the next Catholic church. See, here's the beauty of being Catholic. There's probably a Catholic church in your area, especially if you live in a highly populated area. There's probably a Catholic church every couple miles. So you know what? Go to the next Catholic church and then you can, get one going. I think start one.
Yeah, there may be a men's group at your parish, Jeffrey. If not, there may be one. I was going to say the same thing at a nearby parish, perhaps a Knights of Columbus Council. There might be a prayer group. Maybe look in the bulletin. Look in the parish bulletin. It's a great resource because there are groups that meet, including divorce groups, Debbie. I know there are a lot of parishes that have support groups for people who have been through a divorce. And also, what was I going to say? Something else slipped my mind.
Grieving. There's grief support.
Yeah.
There's grief support. There's abuse support. There's prayer group. There's all sorts of ministries happening. Go ahead, Jerry. Yeah. Sorry.
No, that's it. I was gonna also say there might be a prayer group. So Jeffrey, know that you got the Take Two family here with you, our brother, and thanks for being a listener and a regular correspondent to the program at take2@ewtn.com. We appreciate that. How do you get supported in your life prayerfully, spiritually? Rusty, as promised, is next in Lafayette, Louisiana, listening to Take Two on Christ Our King Radio and a first-time caller. Hi, Rusty. Good to have you with us.
Hello there. Can you hear me?
Very well.
Well, I felt compelled to call because of the subject. I lost my wife 3.5 years ago, and making an Acts retreat gave me a community of brothers and sisters that have really helped through the journey. And we do, there's a lot of prayer requests and lots of prayer flying around amongst the community. So anybody that's looking for that community, I'd have to recommend an Acts retreat.
Absolutely. I totally agree with Acts Retreat and also Christ Renews His Parish. Help me out, Rusty, because I always get one of the letters mixed up. Acts, the acronym stands for?
Adoration, Community, Theology, and Service.
Beautiful. Yeah, and then after you go on a weekend Acts retreat, then you have a built-in support group, accountability group to stay with you, right, Rusty?
That is correct. That is correct. I didn't know but a few people in the parish before the retreat. Now there are hundreds that I know.
Wow. Wow, that's wonderful. Well, and first off, can we just rewind for a little bit? We're so sorry for the loss of your wife. That is very hard, and I know that must have hit you very hard. But then to have a Christian support group around you to get through it, maybe I'm sure on Acts you had plenty of time to talk about your beautiful wife, and Rusty, you know this. Your wife is alive now more than ever, and so you just have to kind of remind yourself of that all the time. We all do, because when we lose our loved ones, it hurts. You know what the interesting thing about because I did a death and dying project. Here's the interesting thing, Rusty and Jerry. When the person is going, when they're dying and they're transitioning over to the afterlife, okay? They're not sad in the way we're sad. We're sad because we're left behind, okay? We're missing them. We have all those feelings, okay? And so it's hard for us. That's why we need constant support and reminders of the fact that they are alive and closest and very close to us. I'm sure you do that, right, Rusty?
Yes, very much so.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Yeah, well, God bless you, Rusty, and we do hope that you have that continued support, because I know when we have a loved one, especially a spouse who's dying, we get a lot of support. People are praying, people come over, they're calling, they're writing, and then that can, of course, kind of diminish and dissipate a little bit after the loved one leaves, and then that can sort of create just a little bit more of a difficult situation. So thank God, Rusty. Thank you that you have that Acts team around you, and I'm sure you're just as much a blessing to all of them, especially if any of them ever go through something that you've gone through. So
That's true.
God bless you. Thanks for calling Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Appreciate that so much.
Thanks, Rusty. I love the name of your radio station, Christ Our King Radio. Don't you love that? Doesn't that sound good? I love that. Mm-hmm. Okay, Kathy's up next in Hayes, Kansas on, I love this too, Divine Mercy Radio. And Kathy, you are a first-time caller. We're doing pledge drive, so I'm going to give you the bell. There you go. Hi, Kathy.
Hi. Can you hear me?
Just fine.
Perfectly.
Oh, okay. Okay, I was just wondering, this is a perfect subject for what I'm concerned about. Why does there seem to be absolutely zero support for single people in the church outside of dating services and stuff? It seems like everything's focused on married people or divorced people or widows or whatever. And I've even had priests say in sermons on the pulpit that single people are lazy and selfish and things like that. And I'm wondering, why does the church seem to have that attitude toward single people? Some people just don't get married, and there's nothing wrong with them. They're not sinning or anything. So what's the attitude? And they're not called to the religious life. So how are you supposed to get support when you have that attitude going?
Right. We actually did a show recently on the single ministry and committed singles because of exactly what you just said, Kathy. We had a lot of listeners ask us to address this, and I just want to state, from working in the parish community for over 25 years, I want to tell you the reason why we didn't have, at the 5 different parishes that I worked at, why we didn't have a lot of single ministries is simply because of the budget. There was not enough money to do even adult formation. Some of our programs had to be cut. I mean, it comes down to how they are able to budget. Go ahead.
I think you don't even need programs if there was just a different attitude. If you felt more welcome, I think that would be a huge difference.
Right. Well, I was going to address that second. So first thing I was going to say is go to your parish and for anybody who is a single, go to your parish and express that you may want to start something on a volunteer basis that's not going to cost the parish any money, something of that nature. Second is, Kathy, you're going to have to stay with us because you're going to hear music in just a bit. But here's the second part of that, Kathy. I feel really bad that you said that priest made those comments from the pulpit. That's just not a nice thing to say. It's very unkind, and I don't know why he chose to go that angle. That's just not right. So what I would suggest is we need to educate our priests and deacons, especially if you're in a place of a committed single, and express to them how you feel. Hold on, Kathy. We'll come right back.
Teresa Tomeo.
It's our goal to help each and every listener take this beautiful faith of ours out into the public square with great ideas on making a difference through engaging the culture.
The leading Catholic voices are on EWTN Radio.
I'm Jerry Usher.
And I'm Debbie Georgiani.
You're not going to want to miss the next free Jerry and Debbie live webinar with Father Donald Calloway, scheduled for Tuesday, October 15th at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 Pacific. Father Calloway will share his amazing insights into the Holy Rosary, and will also discuss his new global movement to encourage us all to consecrate ourselves to St. Joseph. Remember, our webinars are absolutely free, and you have to register online at jerryanddebbie.com.
Bishop Robert Barron.
I've been a priest for 31 years. It's a call to a total gift to Christ. It's a total gift of one's life to be conformed to Christ. And that's why I felt it when I was a young guy and I was kind of getting into religion and understanding it more deeply intellectually. It just began to hit me with a great clarity that if this is true, if God is real and God is a supreme good, well, why wouldn't I give my whole self to God? Why would I get distracted by anything else, Now, again, I'm not saying that should be true for every single person on the planet. That's the way it hit me when I was a young guy, was I want to give as much as I can, my whole self to Christ. So there's something heroic about that, where you do eschew a lot of things. You say no to a lot of things so you can say massively yes to Christ and to his demand. I think that's a heroic quality of it.
The people you know and trust are on EWTN.
Tomorrow on More to Life, with friends like these.
Sometimes it seems like the people we care about the most hurt us the most. We're going to show you what to do about it.
Now back to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie.
Today, if you have a spiritual support group, a prayer support group that can really sustain you and help you and support you. And we're if you want to get in on this conversation, it's a great conversation. There's plenty of time. Just call 1-833-288-3986. And we're talking to Kathy in Hays, Kansas, and she brings up a really interesting and very, very important point about singles in the church and in ministry life. And Kathy, I'll tell you again, and believe me, there are a lot of, I don't need to have to get all the emails that are going to come in and say, our parish has a great singles ministry. There are a lot of parishes across the country that have very vibrant, active, jam-packed singles ministries. And then I have seen parishes where there's nothing for singles for miles and miles and miles. However, there's adult faith formation, okay? And adult faith formation will bring together singles, married people, brings together deacons and priests and everybody. And so I would suggest to folks, rather than kind of separating out and having a couples group and a singles group and a this group and that group, please talk to your pastor or deacon about forming an adult formation group and everybody come together. And so, Kathy, I just want to say, I agree with you. We did it has to do with, a budget situation at different parishes. That's really, in my opinion, from the years I've worked it, that's what it comes down to, Kathy. But I would educate your pastor, the sisters in your community and the deacons about how it feels to be a committed single in the parish community. Kathy, does that help?
Yes, it does. I think that's a good idea, to have everyone join together instead of, like you say, separating people out, because we're all on the same goal.
That's right.
I think, anyway.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. And Kathy, you probably thought of this already, but maybe you can go to the one thing, Debbie, you can confirm this, I'm sure. One thing that pastors love to hear is, first of all, an idea, followed by, what can I do to help with that, Father? Because we go to our pastors with ideas all the time, and they're just like, oh, man, one more thing. But, Kathy, you might be just the person God is calling you to start something in your parish. And I think a lot of singles ministries, you hear the word singles, and all of a sudden you think, okay, it's people looking for
matchmaking,
matchmaking or something. And like you said, Kathy, a lot of people. I'm committed single, and I think a lot of us just want to be with other people. We talked about this on our show. You feel like a third wheel sometimes, not in a bad sense, but you just often wonder if you can associate with some of the other groups because they're right, yeah,
right,
yeah.
Real quick.
Thank you, though. I appreciate.
Yeah, real quickly, Kathy, before you go, Jerry just said something, and it just jogged my memory. In the adult formation group that I was the director of, we had, and remember, there was no sacraments or anything, so people came, because they wanted to come every Thursday night. Okay, and I even talked about how Father Dave Pavanka, who's the head of Steubenville Franciscan University. His parents came every Thursday night. Okay, we in this group we had 80-year-olds, we had deacons, we had nuns, we had priests, we had singles, we even had children come. We had Christmas parties. We had all sorts of celebrations. I brought in professional dancers to teach everybody ballroom dance, and we all did it together. It was a blast. We did it for 5 years, Kathy, straight. And you're right. Come together. We need to come together, folks. We are the body of Christ. And you're right, Kathy. We should be all on the same path trying to get to heaven. So way to go, Kathy. Great call. Thank you.
Thank you, then.
All right. Thanks for the call. From Hays, Kansas, we're going to go a little bit southwest of there to Dodge City, Kansas next. And we've got Ron listening on Sacred Heart Radio to Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. Hi, Ron. Welcome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
The reason I'm calling you is, your show, I listen to it all, every time I go to work, and that's 5 days a week. I drive about 35 miles, and I have basically no support, no prayer support, no support at all from anybody. And listening to your program, it helps me get through the day, and just uplifts my spirit, you can say. I am a non-denominational. I do go to a non-denominational church, but the church is, I don't know, there's really no word to describe. It's a caring church, but it looks like they have their own cliques that, they form to, and I just don't fit into that realm of society, I guess you call it.
Well, Ron, first of all, thanks for listening. Thank you for your kind comments and your regular listenership. I can't even tell you how I'm feeling right now, and I know Debbie is as well, that our little show here could be some kind of a support for you, and I'm sure you listen to other EWTN shows as well. It's unfortunate that you don't have that support, no prayer support. You do have that here with the Take Two family. You can be sure of that. And by the way, anytime you or anybody who's listening, if you need prayers for anything, send an email to take2@ewtn.com. Or if you just want to say, hey, I'm struggling out here a little bit, just hope you guys are thinking about me, because we love to stay in touch with all of you. But Debbie, I know, how many people do we hear from who listening to Catholic radio and EWTN, even many who are not Catholic, find something of consolation and solace and support when they listen? Because we care.
We care. We care about other souls, Ron. It's that simple. Ron, you fit in here, okay? So I'm glad you found EWTN. I'm glad you found Take Two, because you're part of us. You make it. See, right now you've got a global platform that you just shared from your heart, okay? We care. And folks will start texting in after the show saying, tell Ron, he's a buddy of mine. I'm praying for Ron. I mean, it goes on and on and on. Everybody cares who listens to EWTN and Take Two with Jerry and Debbie. I'll tell you, Ron, I'm glad you found us. And we're glad we found you. And you do belong. Now, here's the other thing I want to share with you. You have a guardian angel right by your side, praying with you, for you, helping you, guiding you, guarding you. Okay, that's just look at Psalm 91, Ron. So you're, first of all, you're never alone, and second of all, your guardian angel is gonna help you have opportunities to expand that support group. Okay, in your own community and where you live. So look for those opportunities, Ron. It'll happen. You watch. And we're going to be praying for that. So yes, you have the Take Two family. Yes, you do. We can guarantee you that. But now you can start to cultivate something in your own community so that you can go do things with and go to church with and all sorts of things. Okay, Ron?
Okay.
Okay. We're going to start praying. Okay. See, what did I say? Text messages are coming in, Ron. People are already praying. There you go. Go ahead.
Okay.
All right. Drive safely, brother. Thanks for the call, and have a great day at work. Thank you so much. And be a support for others, Ron. Reach out to others. Tell them you're praying for them, and that'll open up those dialogues. And pretty soon, before you know it, you'll have a lot of people supporting you and praying for you as well. Yep. Today we're talking on Take Two with Jerry and Debbie about spiritual support in our lives. I mentioned at the start of the show, I have a group of cloistered religious sisters in Fort Wayne, Indiana, who pray for me every day, hourly perhaps, which is what I need. And I turn to priests to say masses for me or for, my intentions when I'm going through things, and for you and the Take Two family. So where do you turn? Is there a prayer chain at your parish, a group that you belong to? 833-288-3986. Debbie, if I may, just while I'm on a roll here.
Please do.
Speaking of prayer and support, our dear friend Stan Tall Allison wrote in and said, "Hi, Jerry and Debbie. I was hoping to send this earlier, but maybe it does connect with today's topic. I have a prayer request. So Take Two family, listen up." She's asking you and the Take Two family to pray. She says, "You are a big part of my spiritual support group. Please pray for my next door neighbor, Kathy's 57-year-old divorced sister, Susan, here in New Jersey, who has recently been diagnosed with brain cancer, which is already spreading to other organs. Susan's deepest desire, besides healing, is to survive and to be able to travel to Arizona in December for her daughter's college graduation. Lots of relationships in her life need healing as well." And Allison says, "I don't think Susan has a strong faith, but Kathy is grateful for any and all prayers for her sister." So grateful for you prayer warriors. That's to you guys. So let's pray for Allison's neighbor Kathy's divorced sister, Susan.
Absolutely. Okay. Absolutely. I just want to say something too, though, about, because Jerry, you reminded me about the project that I had worked in with the Death and Dying Project. If the good Lord, if we're ready to go home, folks, and there are things that we don't want to miss here on earth, like our kids getting married, or our grandchildren, or graduations and stuff like that, just think about this for a moment. Okay, if you do go, if you are called home, God willing, the good Lord's going to give you a bird's eye view. I mean, you'll be right in the delivery room when that grandbaby's being born. You'll be right at the front row of the graduation. You'll be right right near the altar during a marriage ceremony. Jerry, you have to keep looking at it like that. Otherwise, death becomes something we fear, and we shouldn't have to be in that state of mind, right?
Well, yeah, and there's the uncertainty of it, but when we focus on the relationship that we have with God, hopefully our deceased loved ones had with God, we have to believe that they are in the best place, not a better place, but the best place, or on their way to that best place, perhaps a little time in purgatory. So, yeah, death from, this life, it doesn't, what do they say? Life is not ended, it's just changed at death. We enter into a different phase of life, eternal life.
Eternal life. Okay, there's still time to get on the show if you want to jump in. If you feel prompted by the Spirit, you have something to share about a prayer support group. Maybe if there's a deacon or a priest listening, maybe you could give us some just encouragement on how to continue these support groups. That would help. 833-288-3986. Okay, we're moving to Sue in Jacksonville, Florida, listening on the EWTN app, and you're a first-time caller. I'll give you the bell, Sue. Welcome.
Hi, Sue.
Very much.
You're welcome. Take it away.
What I wanted to tell you about is that several months ago, I heard a phrase, and I've adopted it for myself. I was a critical care registered nurse, and I was injured, and since 1993, I've been unable to work from a minor injury during a code. It became a total body neurological disability. that has been very painful. And I said, at my worst, it's what I truly believe is what it must be like to go to hell with the suffering that I have gone through. Most of the nights I'm awake till 3, 4, and 5, and 6 in the morning with all of my medications because of my pain. What I have done is that has become my prayer time. I started out praying for others because I realized there were many people praying for me. And several months ago on the Dr. Phil show, he had a woman whose daughter was missing. They thought she had been murdered. And another woman ministered to her on the show, and her daughter had been killed. And she said what got her through it was knowing how many people were praying for her in the middle of the night. So I said, that's it. That's what I am. I'm your in the middle of the night prayer person. And that's what I've told my friends. I hyphenate it in my title, and it has been such a blessing to think of it that way, because that's what I do all night long is pray for others for whatever the reasons are, whatever comes to mind. I also have done poetry most of my life through my teens, and now I do greeting cards, and I do bookmarks, and I print them up. I keep them in my purse, and I pass them out to somebody I come in touch with, and I say, here, would you like to have this? Many times it's the Serenity Prayer. It also might be prayers of my own that I have written that I give out. So I'm the in the middle of the night prayer person, and I love it. I would love to pass it on to anyone who wants to use it.
Sue, I'm so glad to hear that you love it, because I'll tell you somebody else who loves it, and that is Jesus. Jesus suffered horrifically for us, and his suffering, it was not so that we wouldn't have to suffer. It was so that our suffering would have meaning. And we read about this. Paul writes in Colossians chapter 1, verse 24, now I rejoice in my sufferings for your sake, and in my flesh I am filling up what is lacking in the afflictions of Christ on behalf of his body, which is the church. Does that mean Christ didn't suffer enough? He suffered 98% of what was needed for our salvation and redemption? No, he suffered perfectly, but we are his body. Keep that in mind. We are his mystical body, and we must also walk the path that he walked. He says, unless you take up your cross and follow me, you cannot be my disciple. So I'm going to be a little selfish and ask you, Sue.
I know where you're going with this, because I was going to ask. Mm-hmm.
Well, if you'd be so kind as to pray for the Take Two show family. And it's a little bit selfish, and you understand this, but I think, Debbie and Sue, it's a good thing to ask suffering people to pray for us, because they may not understand the great good that redemptive suffering can do. It can open their eyes to see that in their suffering, which is not easy to go through, there is a great, great good being accomplished, and that gives purpose to suffering. Sue, like you seem to understand so beautifully in your suffering.
Well, I have told my closest friends, especially my 2 nurse friends, that I realized, yes, I always loved poetry. Yes, I read. Yes, I always have written. It's been part of my life. I've been a medical writer. I've been a personal writer. I've done journaling. I've had things published. But the level at which I reach now is because of, not in spite of, but it's because of what I've been through. Because I had to. At the deepest, darkest depth of despair was in the early course of this disease in the mid-'90s. And I would go 25 hours of sleep at the most in an entire week, and I laid in bed crying for hours with this pain. Mm-hmm. I now have good medical care. I've been correctly diagnosed. I've had lots of surgeries, but where I'm at now is so much better. But I know what that used to be like, and I don't ever want to go back there again. I pray to God I don't. But it has brought me to a place in my own personal ministry, my own life, that I can see it in others. I can see someone who might be limping. I can see someone who you just look at them and they're in pain. Do you need something? Would you like to talk? But I also, with my nursing, besides the critical care, my last 3 years before I had to stop nursing was mental health. So I did counseling, and I took care of a child psychiatry unit and an adult psychiatry unit, and so that gave me additional knowledge that I didn't have about how to reach out to other people. But now it's just one-on-one, one person to another, one phone call. Somebody may say, you need to talk to my friend, and they'll call me and say, could you call this lady? She's really in trouble. She really needs someone to talk to. So I'm counseling from home. I'm praying from home. my home with my husband and I. We've been married 54 years, and he's now not in good health for the last year, but we're okay. We are living in our home. We're doing everything possible, and this is what my life has become. I'm rarely out of my home, and everything centers around God and prayer and serenity and peace, what we have to do.
But Sue, as you were speaking and telling your story, I was welling up in tears because my heart just broke for you that this had happened to you in 1993 and being unable to work and it got to this point where you were losing sleep and you were in constant pain. And first of all, I just wanted to say real quickly, if I may, thank you for being a nurse. It just goes to show your beautiful soul and your beautiful heart. I love nurses. The nurses for me, when I went through cancer, they were everything. Man, they were awesome. So, Sue, thank you for that. But you now have, like you said, I loved how you used the word ministry. You now have a mission, a purpose, a ministry. You're focused. And you're focused on the souls of others, okay? You're so closely aligned with the passion of Christ. You are focused on the other souls. And so it's taken it off of what's happening to you and now being used for the good for everybody else. Sue, you're on to something huge, huge. And my prayer for you is that when you're finished with this beautiful time here on earth, and I hope it's not for many, 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 many more years, but I pray that you receive those words, well done, my good and faithful servant.
Thank you so much. You don't know how much that means to me. I wanted to share with you that last weekend I listened to all of the conference for the family celebration. And I have Johnette's book. I had given it to one of my other friends, the Graceful Living book. And our anniversary, 54 years, was September 25th. So I do, like you said earlier, what are things that are important dates? I looked up the date. And so for September 25th, and this is just so profound because here I am a nurse. The quote for the day is from Alma, and I don't know how to say it, Sinalecta, The Sayings of the Father. And it says, in the same way that a powerful medicine cures an illness, so illness itself is a medicine to cure a passion. And there is much profit of soul in bearing illness quietly and giving thanks to God.
Wow, I needed to hear that because, Sue, I don't bear illness very quietly, as Debbie will tell you. But I'm not a good sufferer, as I've said on this show. But you certainly are, and so. Yeah, not much more can be said, Sue. You're changing the world, one offering of your suffering at a time. God bless you, and God bless your husband, like you said, of 54 years. Bless you both.
We've known each other since I was in the 5th grade. He's about 7 years older than me, and we've known each other since I was in grade school, literally, and married right after graduation. And, I always joke, people say it wouldn't last, and here we are 54 years later and 2 children.
Wow.
It still might. You still might make it, Sue. You might be able to make a go of this.
There you go. I want to end with one quote that was given
could we have
to
your
me
husband's
many
first
years
name?
ago.
Real quickly,
my husband is Paul.
Paul. Okay, because everybody's asking to
Good
pray
Bible
for Paul.
name, Paul Simon.
Okay. Okay.
I wanted
Go ahead,
to tell
Sue.
you that my husband's aunt had to have an amputation, and it was very painful. And this was early in my disease when I was in the 90s, when I was in a terrible brace that forced my crooked leg straight, and I was just the pain was torturous. And so we were visiting them in Orlando, and I took my brace off, and she was so interested to see my brace, and she took her prosthesis off, and I was so interested in seeing that. And we're sitting there talking about pain and disabilities, and I shared this quote with her. My brother sent me a tape, and it was from a ministry, Stephen Fry Ministries, and it was a cassette tape, and I'm laying in the dark listening to this, and I started crying. And this quote hit me, and I've used it ever since. Don't despise your disabilities, for they are God's way of relying on His grace.
Wow. Well, that's a great note to finish our call on, Sue. Thank you so much, and we're going to be praying for you and also for Paul and the friend that you brought up with us as well. Thank you for listening to EWTN Radio and for Take Two with Jerry and Debbie and for calling us here on the program. We appreciate it so much. We got just about 2.5 minutes. We want to get to Lisa listening on Sirius XM 130 in Vancouver, British Columbia. Hello, Lisa. You're up next here on Take Two. Welcome.
Oh, hi. Thanks, Jerry and Debbie, for taking my call. I felt compelled to call. I wanted to say Ron, the caller a few back. He touched me. I just got out of Mass because I have been going through some very trying times, but I really feel that the picture is so much bigger, and just the fact that you allow people to call in. EWTN, incidentally, has been an amazing lifesaver for me because I have been very isolated. I am a cradle Catholic. I've never found my niche. I've in the church, but I know where Christ is, so I am madly in love with Jesus. But at the same time, we're human, so we get lonely. And I think of Jesus in the garden that night, and that's what Ron made me think about again, is when Jesus was in the garden, how everyone fell asleep. All those closest to him just fell asleep. And I can't imagine the human feelings that he got. Well, I can, but can't. Of loneliness, of abandonment, of disappointment, and calling out to his Father, you know. I feel like that, again, as your last caller said, in the night, that's where it hits me, anxiety. And I just ask everyone to pray for my daughter has been very ill for 2 years, and it's hard. And yesterday, and I just pray she's very isolated, because when we are sick, we tend to isolate.
Right.
Because we don't really believe other people know. And please pray for me. I've had so many health crises this last year and a half, and I lost my mom this year. And I got called back in for my mammogram, and it's stressing me out.
Okay,
So
Lisa. Okay, Lisa.
Yes.
Listen closely. We only have 2 minutes. The clock is going to run out. Okay, so we don't have any. And unfortunately, we can't stop the time, which we would in this case. Lisa, if you can drop us an email quickly at take2@ewtn.com. We're going to give you some things to think about and meditate on to help you through that. With the worry, I'm going to share some things about Padre Pio that could maybe help you, about your guardian angel. We got the Take Two family praying for your daughter right now. We're sorry for the loss of your mom. Absolutely sorry about that. But Lisa, you have support here. I can assure you that the prayer warriors of the Take Two family are surrounding your entire family right now, Lisa, in prayer. So feel that. Take comfort in that. Please drop us an email at take2@ewtn.com, because your tears are really hitting us hard, and we don't want to leave you with those. Jerry?
Lisa, I wish we had 10 more minutes to spend with you, Lisa. Unfortunately, this is what happens every day on the show at this time. But God bless you. You're in our prayers. You're in the Take Two family's prayers around the world. And as Debbie said, please do email us, because we'll be able to share some other thoughts with you. Allison emailed back, Debbie. She said she just had to share this. She has a calendar, Day by Day with Jesus. And today's quote, Jesus did not come to explain away suffering or remove it. He came to fill it with his presence. Isn't that beautiful?
It's a beautiful way to end the show. Yeah, absolutely.
Also, by the way, just real quick, Diane emailed her their son, Mike and Diane's son, Brent graduated from pharmacy school and is looking for employment. So let's pray for Brent that he finds a very good pharmacy job.
I understand tomorrow we're talking about St. Francis of Assisi, the quote that was attributed to him that he probably maybe didn't say, but we'll work on it. Preach the gospel always and use words if necessary. That's for tomorrow's show. Until then, have a beautiful and blessed day. See you real soon.
Dr. Ray Guarendi, making a